I had an interview with an English professor at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, Dr. Nicole Jacobs, who has a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Arts at the University of Miami, and she has received her PhD at Penn State. She currently teaches British literature and Shakespeare at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. She and I both agree that it is possible to read any play in a week. Don't understand it, not analyze it, just read it. Just read it. So many professors are constantly annoyed with how students complain that they don't have enough time to fully read a play. I do see both sides of this argument. On one hand, the student is preoccupied with other classes and other opportunities and commitments, and so reading a play is definitely something that, is not a top priority in their mind. And on the other side, I know that it's important to the instructor that the student reads the play or script or excerpt so that they get the full understanding and are able to do what's next. And I think that what demolishes both sides of this argument is what I will say now. There is more free time than you think an actor has. An actor who is free from duties of the theater and of film has free time to read a lot more. I think they have more free time to read a script to its entirety and can read it multiple times to get a better understanding of it, especially if it's one that they love. A full-time student needs to make time to read the play. So it's all about switching your schedules, moving things around. So my number one advice is to read a play once a week. It can be a 1-act, it could be a 2-act, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-act. It doesn't matter. Just read one play a week. It's kind of like a pill thing. This will give you better practice at reading in general and provide a foundation for how plays are and how to work around them. To quote Dr. Jacobs, reading is like working a muscle at the gym. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. And that is something that people lose sight of when they think about how tedious the work is. Another opportunity that I think could be great is tutoring. Tutoring for me in the past was more on the lines of, not normal. I thought that it was a punishment for me not, getting the structure as quickly as other students. But it actually can be useful if you already know how to do things, but if you just liked your work refined. Kind of like singing. You got to be more practiced. Same thing with drawing. There are small tutors that can be paid, $15 an hour, maybe even a little more so. But if you want the best out of the tutoring, you probably would have to pay more. But it's all to what you are able to provide for. And if you want someone that can specifically focus on plays, that's definitely a really good foundation. I'm sure that there's many tutors out there. Dr. Jacobs volunteers at their children's elementary school on the weekends, and she helps some of the students who have difficulties with reading kind of boost their ability to read and definitely give them that sort of strength. And she doesn't really put on her teacher hat and, teaches and directs how the students are supposed to read. She actually puts her parenting hat on, where she just sits back and waits for them to make a mistake or expects something to go wrong. And then if there really needs to be some course correction, she'll adjust and does what she needs to. And I find that so much more helpful in life overall. Waiting for the mistake to happen and then realizing and learning. I think prevention can only go so far. The tutoring that I have experienced was definitely a little bit more advanced. My dad paid for this one lady named Colleen, who has been around for a good moment of my adolescent period, and she was able to help me read so much better by just listening to what I was reading. And then, she'd stop me on words that were too complicated, and then she'd write them down on like flashcards. And then I'd test my ability on how to say the words afterwards at some moments in time. And so we just keep going and through it. Like, it was almost like Duolingo. Duolingo, when you just practice the words over and over again. Although that's, it keeps you wired in, it keeps you like a streak and everything, and it's kind of addictive. But this kind of tutoring was so much more isolated and so much more in person. But it definitely, I think, helped in the long run. And I think going back to that, definitely play work would be a lot better for tutoring to obviously read the scripts and things like that.